Welcome to Lavelle Claytor's Projects with a Purpose. In this episode, we will be working with Microsoft Excel example number 1. I will show you 4 different ways to get your total of any column. If you would like to follow along with me, look in the description and download the file. Let's begin. One of the first ways to find the sum of a range of cells is to select the range of cells. Now watch this. When I take my mouse and hover in C4, I'm going to select the range C4 through C20. Now what you're going to notice is that what I did, I took my mouse and I let it hover in the middle of C4. I'm going to click and hold my mouse and I'm going to pull down until I get to C20. I'm going to let my mouse go. And what I want you to notice, if you look at the status bar, right now it's displaying the average numbers. But what I want to do, I want to see the sum of the range that I just selected. I'm going to right click my mouse on the status bar. And in this section down here, I'm going to choose count, minimum, maximum, and sum. And then notice, see how it says sum right here? This is the total that should show up here. Okay, now the maximum number in that range of cells is 959. The minimum number in the range of cells is 168. We selected 17 cells. Okay, let me, I'm going to click on the status bar. So now at anytime you want an answer very quickly, but you don't want to write the formula, now I'm going to select another range of cells. I'm going to select F4, but this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to click inside of F4, and on my keyboard, I'm going to hold down the Control-Shift down arrow, and I'm going to let both hands up. Now, when you do that technique, you want to very lightly tap the down arrow. If you hold it down too long, it'll just keep going. So this is another way of selecting a range of cells. But here's what I want you to notice. Look down here on the status bar. The average number, how many cells we selected, the minimum number, and if we look through this list, the minimum number here is 105. The maximum number, if we look through, is 883, and this is going to be the total when we write the formula or when we put the formula in our cell. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is to click in C21 where we want the formula to go. So we're going to go to our Home tab, over to our editing group. We're going to click the down arrow for auto sum and choose sum. And what it's going to do, it's going to write the formula for us. So equal sum, open parenthesis, C4 colon means through, C20. And if you notice, you have the marching ants going around the range of cells. Now, when I press my tab key on my keyboard, see how it gives me that number 10737. Now watch, when I select that range of cells, see how that number matches down on the bottom on your status bar? So we did it correctly and we have the right answer. Now I'm going to go to D for David, D21. I'm going to write the formula. So this is number 3. Equal sum. And when I do equal sum, see how right here I get this menu, and the first option, which is sum, it says adds all the numbers in a range of cells. So I'm just going to double click that, and what it's going to do is going to start the formula properly. And all I'm going to do is select my range of cells. So I can either take my mouse in the middle of D4, click and hold, pull down. And now remember, when you have an open parenthesis, you have to close parenthesis. That's going to be Shift 0 and Tab. Now let's see if that answer is correct. I'm going to select my range of cells, and I don't want to include the total. Now look down here. It says 10488, 10488. All right, now I believe I'm on number 4. The fourth way, since I know I'm going to be totaling column C, D, E, and F, I'm going to select the range C21 through F21. And when I go to my Home tab and I go over to my editing group, I click my down arrow for auto sum and I choose sum. See how it puts the formula in all of them? 4 ways I just showed you. The fifth way is to convert your data to a table. So right now, Excel sees the information on this particular sheet as just data. It doesn't belong together. Even though they're next to each other, it doesn't know it belongs together. So here's a really cool technique. If you click anywhere inside of your data, what you want to do is confirm one thing. Make sure that you have headers. So when I say headers, the first cell in the column tells the individual who is entering data what information goes in that column. So scores would not go in this column. The names would go in this column. Now the scores for game 1 would go in column J. Scores for game 2 goes in K. Scores for game 3 goes in column L, and scores for game 4 goes in column M. Now I'm gonna do this twice so that you'll see what I mean. I'm going to remove the column headers. I'm just going to delete them. Now when I click inside of my data, I go to my Home tab. I go over to my Styles group, click my down arrow for Format as Table, and this is where I can give my table some color. So what I like to do, depending on what type of data I'm working with, so say it's the budget for the elementary school, theirs might always be orange, and say I have the budget for the middle school, theirs might be purple, and then I have the budget for the high school and theirs may be blue. I like to color code things, so at a glance I'll know exactly what I'm looking at. But for this activity I like purple, so I'm going to click on purple, and you can click any of these, doesn't matter. Now you get this dialog box that opens up, and see how there's not a check mark here? Because there isn't a column header. Now watch, when I click OK, it'll say column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. All right, let me do an undo. And I'm going to undo again so I can put my headers back. I'm going to click anywhere inside of my data. You do not need to select your data. Imagine if you have thousands of rows of data. It would take you a while to select them. You don't need to do that when you're converting your data to a table. Just click anywhere within the data, go to your Home tab, go to your Styles group, click on Format as Table, and choose your color. Now see how it automatically puts a check mark there? Because it looked through the data and it found that your columns have headers. When I click OK, automatically my table design, or depending on your version, it may just say design, and this is called a contextual tab, and I'll explain in just a moment. Now write this down. When you convert your data to a table, the second thing that you should do is name the table. Now I'm going to go over here to my left to my properties group. I'm going to click inside the text box and I'm going to name it, we'll say player scores. Now, when you're naming your table, you cannot put a space. You cannot put a wildcard. When I say wildcard, that means like a pound sign or an @ sign or the $ or % sign. If I were to name it incorrectly, if I were to put a space and I press my enter key, see how it tells me the syntax is incorrect and tells me I can put an underscore. I'm going to go back and I'm going to type player and then score. If I have two words, I like to capitalize the first letter of each word. It just makes it easier. Now, when I press my enter key, that confirms the name of the table. Now, when I click away from the table, you're going to notice that that contextual tab is not there. When I click back on the table, the contextual tab comes back. So a contextual tab is a hidden tab that only reveals itself when you click on an item that has a hidden tab. Now, the third thing that I do once I convert my data to a table, I check my name box. When I click my down arrow, you're going to see player score. Now let me just kind of show you how this works. I'm just going to go down to the bottom left side of my screen, and I'm going to go to new sheet. I'm going to put a couple sheets on here. Just going to click a couple times now, and then I'll just kind of just type my name up here, and then I'll put Clater on the other one, and then I'll go to the other sheet. I'm going to type Excel, and I'll do the Microsoft. Okay. Now I'm going to click on sheet 4. Now I am on sheet 4. If I want to go to that table very quickly, when I click my down arrow and I click on player score, see how it takes me back, and it also selects it. We were talking about adding totals or sums to our data. When you convert your data to a table, you can click on the contextual tab, table design, or depending on your version, it may just say design. But remember, your contextual tab will always be the last tab in your list of tabs. All right, I'm going to click on this once. And then right here where it says table styles options, if I click on total row, see how it gives me the total? Now, is this correct? That's correct. Now, if I want to see the total for all of these, I can, give me 1 second. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger and pull that down a little bit. If you notice on the bottom right side, there's this little triangle. I'm going to click and hold, pull it over to the left, and it's going to give me the totals. And let's check. I have my total here. That is correct. My 10488. Everything is correct. Now, what if your boss comes in and says, hey, I just need to know what is the highest score in each column, and that's your maximum. You can click your down arrow and choose the maximum. And see how I'm just choosing maximum? I'm clicking inside of the cell, clicking the down arrow, and I'm choosing maximum. And so that 959 is the highest. The 999, where's 999? Oops, sorry. Oh, 999, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. 999. Okay, and then the 944. Where is, 944. Okay, great. Ooh, I need new glasses. And then the 833. Now, if your boss says, hey, I need to know the average number, that's the average number for that range of cells. Here's the average number. So you're able to manipulate this. Now, in your data over here, you have to rewrite the formula if you want it to get the average number or the max number or the min number. So if I click inside the cell, I'm going to do a little bit more work. I'm going to have to go to my home tab, over to my editing group, click the down arrow for auto sum, and then choose average. And then I'll get the formula, it'll write it for me, and I press my enter key. But if I want to put what is the max, I have to go back and redo the whole thing again. Home tab, editing group, down arrow for auto sum, and I can't remember what I said, max. The max number, and then press my enter key again. But this will automatically, it has a little down arrow, and you can choose whatever it is that you want. Now I'm going to change these back to some, and I think, let me try something. I have not done this before, but I'm going to see if it'll work. Nope, won't work. Okay. I thought maybe if I selected them all, then I could just click the down arrow and it'll just change it, but apparently not. Now, here's the really, really cool thing. Boss comes in and says, hey, I need to know the totals for each row. Now, watch this. When I type the word total and I press my enter key, See how it brings the formatting over? So all I have to do in this cell, I'm going to go to my Home tab, in my editing group, click my down arrow for auto sum, and then I can do sum. Watch this. And when I press my enter key, it takes it down. So if you're not sure, like, hey, Lavelle, I don't even know if that's right. If I double click in the cell, see how it shows you the range of cells? I'm going to click in this one, double click. This is the range of cells that is totaling. Double click, range of cells it's totaling. Now, one thing I forgot to do when we were playing around with this set of data, when you click inside of a cell that has a formula in it, the cell will reveal the total or your answer. If you look in the formula bar, this is where it got the information from, or what formula you wrote. Now, I'm going to give you a little carrot here. If you go to the Formulas tab and go to the Formula Auditing group, click on Show Formulas. Now, see how it shows you the formula that was written inside of that cell. I'm going to scroll over, and then these are the formulas here. You may have to resize your columns in order to see the whole thing. However, I wanted to show you, because sometimes I'll get a workbook and I may be asked to work on it, and I'm not sure how they wrote the formulas. When I go to my Formulas tab and my Formula Auditing group, I can click on Show Formulas. Now, as long as they didn't lock that section, I can go in and see what formula they wrote. So if I have to do more types of data that require that particular formula, I can kind of look at the previous one that was written before. Now, to turn it off, you're just going to click on Show Formulas and it will turn it off. So I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I truly hope that you learned something new. Thank you so much again. Have an amazing day.